A great set of keyboard shortcuts, just before we dive into all this content over here, is actually Control, Shift, and 1 to display these as oversized, supersized, enormous icons. Control, Shift, 2 is a little bit smaller. Control, Shift, 3, Control, Shift, 4. So we're actually changing the view over here, and you can see if we click View. So this is a useful one to know. And Control Shift 5 just shows the list over there. I personally like Control Shift 6, which shows a detailed listing of all the items in this particular folder. One thing you'll notice is that when you start to become more proficient and efficient on the keyboard on Excel, you'll start to realize that there's actually keyboard shortcuts across Windows and across all different programs and applications, and that will change your mindset and you'll start to work a lot smarter in general. That's what we want. All right, so guys, once we're in this folder, we can navigate around here using the up and down arrow. We're going to open up our Excel file. All right, so there it is. And then we're going to navigate back to that zipped folder using Alt and Tab on the keyboard. Alt and Tab. Okay, Alt and Tab on the keyboard. All right, Alt and Tab. Okay, by the way, what we're going to do is, all right, okay, I'm actually turning off the chat. If you do want to get in touch with us, please drop us a line in the Q&A. I just want the chat to be nice and clean with those keyboard shortcuts. So if you do have any questions or comments, you can post them in the Q&A box. There's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. All right, if the screen is a little bit blurry, I'm sure it will stabilize. Maybe your internet connection needs to just stabilize, but it seems to be okay on our side. All right, guys, so we've got 5 items in this zipped folder. The one is the Excel file, which we've opened up now. And then we've got a keyboard shortcuts cheat sheet for Google Sheets. Let's have a quick look at what that looks like. Okay, it's opened up on my other screen. All right, so that's the green one, and that's for people who are using Google Sheets. All right, we're not interested in that for now. We're working on a Windows computer. I am, and I'm assuming you are as well. All right, so we're working on Excel on a Windows computer, and here is the cheat sheet that I held up. All right, we actually give these as a hard copy with your pack when you sign up to our full courses. All right, we're now in Adobe. I've got a couple of other PDFs open as well. What I want to do is I want to display this without all this paraphernalia around the side. Let's clean this up a little bit. You'll notice that if I go to the menu in the top left-hand corner, I can go to View, and you'll see Read Mode or Full Screen Mode. All right, and here we have keyboard shortcuts. So we're now looking at programs on the computer through a lens of keyboard shortcuts. So we're noticing things that maybe we didn't notice previously. So Control and H or Control and L. Let's try Control H. There we go. That goes into read mode. It's a lot neater. And then Control L goes into full screen mode. That's even cleaner. All right. And you can see we've got it in full screen. This is the first page of our cheat sheet. We'll be working through a number of these shortcuts as we go. And on the second page of our cheat sheet, we've got a whole lot of alphabetical control shortcuts, almost every letter in the alphabet. Okay. And you'll notice over here that we've got F key shortcuts as well. And just a heads up that with these F key shortcuts, sometimes depending on the settings on your specific keyboard, particularly if you're working on a laptop with a small keyboard, you sometimes have to press Fn and the F key. For example, F2, you might have to press function and F2. When we do that, and we want to remind you of that, we'll put that into the chat. Avi's very much on the ball with his finger on the pulse and his finger on the keyboard. All right, so he'll give you those 2 options as well. Okay, so there we've got the 2 pages of the cheat sheet. I'm going to press Alt-Tab to navigate back to my folder. All right, you've got the rate card as well there if you're interested in understanding more about our full courses. But for now, we've opened up our spreadsheet. So let's go into our Excel file. And what you'll notice first and foremost is we're currently in protected view. And that's because Excel wants to protect us from potentially dangerous stuff that we've downloaded off the internet. Fortunately for all of us, we know the source of this. We know that it's safe, and we can therefore trust this, and we can enable editing. All right, so we enable editing. The next thing is that the text is a little bit small in the spreadsheet. All right, it's font size 11. We don't have to increase the font size. What we can do instead is we can increase the view, or the zoom over here with the zoom bar. So you'll see I've put it onto 110%. I can click again, or I can just hold control and zoom in with the wheel on the mouse. Okay, the scroll wheel on the mouse. All right, there we go. And I've made it a lot bigger. So hopefully it's nice and clear on your screen as well. And also just a reminder that we are actually recording this on Zoom, and that link will be made available to you tomorrow morning via email. In addition, we're actually putting this onto our YouTube as well. So there'll be all the masterclasses will be on the same YouTube link. All right. So you will definitely be able to revise and recap, and repetition is crucial. Practicing and repeating ensures that the skills become second nature and automatic for you. All right. Sometimes it's difficult the first time that you're doing it, and it feels very clunky when you're learning these new skills. But with practice and revision, those skills will become second nature. All right. So, guys, let's have a look at our actual data here. We have how many columns of data? We've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns of data. It looks like a whole lot of people. We've got first name, last name. We've got their contact numbers. We've got a progress column over here. We've got a listing of courses here. Number of sign-ins, so you can see sign-in count. You'll also notice there's no formatting of these numbers, no colors, no bold, nothing. It's raw data. It's been exported off a system, and this is jumbled up. These are not real people. What we've done is we've exported this data from our learning platform, all right, where people are doing our online courses. And what we've done is we've jumbled up the names and surnames. We've put in a whole lot of fictitious mobile numbers. And then we've got last activity, SAST, member since, a whole lot of messy looking numbers here. And then we've got a column here for organization. All right, so 10 columns. How many rows of data do we have? How do we find out? We can scroll down with the wheel on the mouse, but it's going to take us a long time, and it's going to hurt our finger. I think there's a condition called repetitive strain injury. All right, and that comes from using the mouse too much. All right, so we want to avoid and mitigate that risk. So it's one of the reasons that we want to work smart on the keyboard, is to look after our hands and fingers. We don't want to be working slowly by using the mouse too much and getting blisters on our fingertips. All right, we could do this, but it's going to take us faster, but it's also going to take a long time. Does anybody know? In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reactivate the chat, because I do want to hear from you guys. And by the way, reactions are available. So I see some people are laughing. So you can laugh as well. You can let us know, because remember, we said this is not Netflix, but it kind of is similar to Netflix in that you're watching us and we can't see you. All right, I went to a show with Nick Rabinovitz last night. He says, he was standing up there on the stage. He says, guys, I can see you. This is not Netflix. All right, but in this case, I can't see you, but I can hear from you in the chat or the Q&A or through the reactions. So if you click on the reaction button, you can actually give me a thumbs up or a wave or a smile or any other emoji that you want. And that is a great way for us to know that you are alive and awake, alert, and enthusiastic. All right. Okay, so how do you get to the bottom of your data? Avi has put up a poll that's very resourceful of Avi. So how do we do it? We either ask our PA to do it, or we scroll down, or we use the control and the arrow key to teleport around the data. That's exactly what we're going to do. Control and the down arrow, or control up arrow, control right and control left. Brilliant. Thank you for that, Avi. I see you guys are responding on the poll. And take a few seconds to get comfortable with control and the arrow keys. We call that the teleporting shortcut, because it enables us to teleport thousands or tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of rows or columns in the blink of an eye, using control and the arrow keys. All right, we can also teleport to the very end of the Excel world. Excel does have a limit. Sometimes when we ask people how many rows are there in Excel, they say it's infinite and it goes on forever. It does not. It does end. Okay, sorry to let you know and to burst your fantasy of Excel going on forever. It does actually end if we go all the way to the bottom using control and the down arrow. All right, control and the down arrow key. That takes to the bottom of Excel, and we've got 1,048,576 rows of data. So over a million rows of data. By the way, guys, if you are working on Mac, Excel for Mac, then have a look at that Mac-friendly keyboard shortcut cheat sheet, which is available here. And you'll see, for example, instead of Control and the arrow keys, you'll be using Command and the arrow keys. All right. Okay, so that's if you are using a Mac, just be aware of the differences in the keyboard shortcuts. All right, guys, we can also get up to cell A1 using what keyboard shortcut? Let me know in the chat. How do we get back to the origin, to the first cell in our spreadsheet? What keyboard shortcut can we use? What shortcut can we use? Let me know in the chat. Any ideas? Control and home. All right, Control and home to jump to cell A1. All right, guys, the home button on my keyboard is right over there. All right, on your keyboard, it might be somewhere different. So just have a look. It also might be shared with the page up key or with the up arrow key or the left arrow key, wherever it is. If it's shared with another key, then you probably have to press Control Function Home. Okay, so just check that out. And the opposite of home when it comes to the keyboard is end. So if we press Control End, then it should take us to the last cell that we've used in our spreadsheet. So Control Home, Control End, practice that, and you'll see how it works. All right, guys, the next thing we want to do is to save our work in a folder that makes sense, that's backed up, that's cloud-based, that's synchronized with our other devices and with our colleagues in our organization. We don't want to be working in a zipped folder. Okay, that's not a good place to be working and saving our work. Zipped folders are great places for us to share documents and to download documents. But once we're actually working and saving, we want to be saving in the cloud. So what we're going to do is we're going to navigate back to our cheat sheet. Which one are we on? Okay, this one, Windows cheat sheet. I'm going to press Control and H or Control L to go into full screen mode. And you'll notice the very last keyboard shortcut on our cheat sheet is actually F12, which is to save as, and we're going to navigate back into our spreadsheet and we're going to press F12 or Function and F12. Okay, there we go. As always, Avi's right on the button there with the keyboard shortcuts in the chat. So F12 or Function and F12. If you're on a Mac, just have a look at what your shortcut is. I don't think F12 will work. So you'll just need to check on your Mac cheat sheet. It might be Control Shift S or Command Shift S, something along those lines. What we want to do is we want to save this in a location that makes sense, that's easy for us to find and easy for our colleagues to find, and that's backed up in the cloud. For us at Excel Academy, we've got a subfolder here for our monthly masterclass today, and that's in our Excel Academy shared Dropbox folder, which I have pinned to the left-hand side, the quick access. If you want to pin something, you right-click and you say pin to quick access, or you just drag it here. All right, you can see that we've got a bunch of things. This is last month's monthly masterclass on the 23rd of Jan. This is this month's, and you'll see I've got downloads there as a subfolder. There's the file, all right, and you can see that it's put copy of. All right, I want to save it with the same name as my original file that I had, but what I want to do is I want to attach my initials at the end of it, and I'm doing that as a naming convention within our organization so that Avi and I know that I've worked on this particular file. That's the original, and this is called version control, which is really important. It's habit. We are creatures of habit. It's really important to have good habits and to be thorough and to be specific about this, and we're going to save our work there. All right, so it's saved to this PC. It's backed up in Dropbox. It's safe and sound. And every few minutes, especially if we do something significant to our data, we are going to click save or Control S. Speaking of save, you probably have that little save icon with the little floppy disk somewhere on your quick access toolbar, either at the top or underneath your ribbon. All right, I've removed it from my quick access toolbar because I know that I just press Control S. I don't need that button to appear there, which leads me to the next point, that you can customize your quick access toolbar, and we recommend that you do so. So for example, if you always use the full color button. All right, and you want to put that on your quick access. You can just right click and say add to quick access toolbar. And you can also display the quick access toolbar above the ribbon. All right, that's probably the default where yours is. Or you can right click on it and say show it below the ribbon. I prefer it below the ribbon. There's more space and I can see the name of each button. If you're lucky and you pay attention and we've got time and we're feeling generous, we're going to tell you about a magic key on the keyboard, which is going to activate every single button and feature on your entire ribbon, whether you're in Excel or Word or PowerPoint or Outlook or just in Windows in general. It's a magic key. We cover it in Excel 101. And as I said, if you stay tuned and you're lucky, we're going to tell you what that key is, and we're going to show you and demonstrate to you just how magical it is. All right, guys. So before we dive into the data and start actually working on this data, it's always useful to do a bit of a warm up, just like before a running race. You want to warm up, make sure that you don't injure yourself. Don't start off too fast, too soon. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new sheet tab by clicking on this plus button. For those of you keyboard jockeys, if you're interested, you can press Shift and F11 on the keyboard, and that's a shortcut to create a new sheet tab. Not F11, not Control F11, Shift F11. All right, I'm going to double click on this sheet tab and I'm going to say warm up. All right, and on my original sheet tab, I'm going to double click on it and say data, because this is my data that I'm going to be working on. All right, how do I navigate between the different sheet tabs? We once asked an in-person group that we were doing Excel 101 with them. This was years ago. We said, how do you navigate between the sheets? And a gentleman put his hand up. He said, very well, you can ask my wife. All right. So navigating between the sheets, in this case, we're navigating between the Excel sheets, and we're doing that using the mouse or by pressing Control and page up or Control page down. Control page up or Control page down. All right, so get the hang of that. You can actually use that in Google Chrome as well. Just to segue for a moment, if I'm in Google Chrome and I've got multiple sheet tabs, I can navigate between them using Control page up or Control page down. Okay. So once again, just demonstrating the fact that there are keyboard shortcuts across the computer. There's a whole lot in Google, in Gmail, and we really want you to become more of a keyboard person. So in the warm-up sheet, I'm going to hold Control and zoom in a little bit so that it's a bit bigger and easier to read. What I want you to do is take 10 seconds to create a list from 1 to 20. List from 1 to 20. Your 10 seconds starts. Grab my watch. Your 10 seconds starts now. Okay, you got 5 seconds left. Gives me a drink break. All right, guys, pens down, as they say. All right, hands off the keyboard. Did anybody manage to create a list from 1 to 20 in those 10 seconds? Let me know in the chat. I'd love to know. Okay, how many of you did this manually? Okay, I can see thumbs up. That's great. So it looks like a lot of you were able to do it. How did you do it? Was there a quick, easy way, an efficient way to do this instead of typing it in manually? Let me know in the chat. Was there a trick? Was there a secret? Was there a technique to do this? All right, I'm waiting to hear, and I'm just hearing crickets in the chat. Oh, okay, we had disabled the chat. Sorry about that. Okay, that's why there were crickets. Somebody let me know in the Q&A. Thank you for that. All right, you guys can now message in the chat. All right. Okay, Robin Wagner says full series. Brilliant, Robin. Well done. So I think what you're referring to is you just need to fill in the 1 and the 2. All right, and once you've done that, you can then use the full series or the full handle. Okay, Rajat says 1, 2, 3 and pull down. Brandon says pull. Bernadette says yes. Okay, so we can do the 1 and the 2, and then we can click and drag down. Okay, excellent. This is called the fill handle. You'll see that once you have done that, you get the autofill options, and you can either fill series or copy cells. If you copy cells, it just replicates what we had, which is 1 and 2. All right, we want the series to be completed. If we undo that with Control Z, Avi will pop that in the chat. That's one that you've probably seen and used before. Control Z to undo. If we just type in the number 1 and we pull it down, what you'll notice is that we just get 11111, but we still can actually overwrite that by clicking on this autofill options that appears there once we've dragged down and saying full series. All right, guys, today is what date? It is Thursday, the 20th of Feb, and we can get that date into a cell using control and semicolon. The semicolon is next to the letter L on your keyboard, and you can press that control and semicolon, a great shortcut because we often work with dates in Excel, and instead of having to type it manually and think and maybe make a typo, we just use control and semicolon. You also might be thinking of a formula in Excel which is equals today. We're not going to do that now, but that's also a very useful one for punching in a formula that captures today's date that will update tomorrow to the 21st of Feb, etc. This, on the other hand, is hard-coded. It's as if we have typed it into Excel. The reference or the term hard-coded is really important. It's something that's used very often when it comes to Excel data, and it basically means that there's no formula. It's just hard-coded in there. It's static. It'll always stay there. So that's what I mean by hard-coded in this case. And once again, we can use the full handle to actually drag down. Okay, and you can see that as I drag down, it goes to the 21st, 22nd, etc. Or we can take the full handle and shortcut or hotwire the whole process by double clicking, and it snaps it all the way down to row number 20. How does it know how far down to go? It goes to the bottom of the list that it sees on the left-hand side. So it matches the length of the list on the left or right. Okay. And it's gone down all the way to the 11th of March. Once again, we get the autofill options. This time we get more options. There's an additional set of choices here because we're working with dates. All right, and Excel is very smart and intuitive when it comes to dates. We can fill weekdays if we want to skip over. Okay, it's actually incorrect there. I'm going to double click from the 20th all the way down. Okay, there we go. That's gone all the way from the 20th to the 11th of March. And if we change that to weekdays, there we go. It's skipped over the weekend, which is the 22nd and 23rd, and it's giving me only the weekdays. We could also fill months. All right, and when you fill months, what you'll notice is that it goes from February to March to April. It's the 20th of each month. All right, this might be useful if you're working, for example, in HR and you want the payroll date to be the 25th of each month. So you want 25 Feb, 25 March, and so on. And you can also skip according to years, 2025, 26, 27, 28. So it gives you a lot of functionality when you're working in dates in Excel. In addition, you'll notice in terms of the actual formatting of this date, I've got year, month, day by default. Yours might be different. Okay, and you can always change it by clicking on this drop down over here. And you could go, for example, to long date, in which case it actually gives you the day and then a comma and then the full written out date. Okay, and one step further, you could go to this little button over there and you can choose from a whole lot of different dates over here. You can also get there by going to more number formats, and you can pick which date you like, and you can change the locale, which is basically the location. We're in South Africa. If you're, for example, in Nigeria, you might want to change it because your default might be different. You can see that there's a whole lot of different options here for your locale. Let's not get too sidetracked. What I do want to show you here is that you can also use this full handle for months. So for example, if we want to type Feb, all right, and we can either type February or just Feb, and if we just snap it down, you can see it automatically goes all the way February, March, April, all the way down. All right, and we might want to actually just copy the cells. Okay, you can see there Feb, all the way down, but you can actually see here that from this row, it should actually change to March. So we want to overwrite that by typing in MAR. And what I want to show you now is a couple of really, really useful keyboard shortcuts so that we don't always have to use this full handle, because if we do use the full handle, let me show you what happens. If we double click down, it goes March, April, May. That's not what we want. We can press Control Z to undo that. And I'm going to work smart, and you're going to love this because I'm going to stand here. And what I want to do is I want to select everything from this point downwards. So I can use Shift and the down arrow key. Okay, get the hang of that. So stand on that cell and then press shift down arrow. And I want to then shortcut the whole process by jumping down to the bottom of this list, but also selecting. So what I'm going to use is Control Shift and the down arrow key, and that's going to select everything and jump all the way to the bottom. So it teleports and it selects. All right. And from here, what I want to do is I want to fill all these gray cells according to what's in the top cell. So I want to fill all these cells downwards. From this cell downwards, they must all be basically copied and pasted or filled in according to what's in the top cell. So the way that I do that is I fill down, and down starts with the letter D. So I press Control D. All right. And that is really, really useful. We use that all the time. I'm going to press Control Z just to do this over again and to show you what we've done. We stand on that cell, which is MAR. We press Control Shift down to select all of them, and then we want to fill down, so we use Control D. The good news is you're going to practice this and you're going to master it. The other good news is that on your cheat sheet, we've got Shift and the arrow keys to extend the selection, and then we've got Control Shift and the arrow keys to extend the selection and teleport. And we've got Control D to remind you here about that shortcut that we just learned, which is to fill down. All right. Marty's asking, why are we not using flash fill? We will show you flash fill, and it's very, very, very useful and very intuitive. It's brilliant. We love flash fill. We use it all the time. We're showing you a few different ways to do this. All right. Flash fill might not have worked here, but anyway, we'll get to that in our data. Speaking of our data, let's move swiftly along. It is 10:30, so time is going and we've got lots and lots to cover. What we want to do in this data over here is we want to convert this from ordinary messy data into something amazing, something formatted, something intuitive, something with great functionality, something that we start off our Excel 202 with. Whenever we're working with a large data set, it's really a game changer in Excel to convert our data into what? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? All right, I'm giving lots of hints, lots of clues, but I'm not giving it away. What are we talking about? What are we going to convert our data into? All right, let's see. Out of the 252 people online, Sydney, excellent. Table. All right, Sydney Swanepoel is referring to a table. What does that mean? That means that we're going to convert our ordinary data into a table in Excel, which has amazing functionality. All right, so we can do this either using a keyboard shortcut that I'm going to show you, or we can go to the Insert tab. Maybe you've seen the Insert tab here where you can insert different things. The first thing on the left-hand side is a pivot table. We'll get to that. Recommended pivot tables, that's using a bit of AI to get Excel to actually recommend pivot tables. We'll get to that later, hopefully, and we deal with that extensively in our Excel 202 course. But for now, table. It says here, table, Control and T. Create a table to organize and analyze related data. Tables make it easy to sort, filter, and format data within a sheet. So we can click on that button, or we're going to work smart, as Avi has mentioned in the chat there. We're going to press Control and T on our keyboard. Okay, we just had to be standing somewhere inside our data, and we press Control T. And you'll see here, create a table. It's identified the scope of the table. It's got what we call marching ants. They're marching clockwise around our whole data set. And it's also identified that our table does indeed have headers. So we click OK, and voila, we've got a beautiful table. It's formatted really nicely. You'll notice that our headings pop out with that blue fill and the white text, white bold text, and we also have these sort and filter buttons, and we've got alternating blue and white rows, and you'll see that there's a brand new contextual tab up at the top of the ribbon. If you like this and you think this is useful and impressive, then give us a thumbs up. We'd love to see those reactions coming through. And what you'll notice as well is that on this contextual tab, you'll see that we've got a bunch of table styles. Okay, Avi's put up a poll. Are you finding this useful? All right, let's have a look here. Okay, brilliant. The answers are coming through thick and fast. All right, 83% of you are saying absolutely. 10% are saying kind of, needs practice. And there are a few of you who knew most of this already. That's okay. I hope for you guys, for your sake that we cover some stuff that's new to you. Hopefully there will be, because there's lots coming and we're actually upping the speed. All right. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Avi. All right, guys. So what did we do? We pressed Control T and that converted into a table. You'll notice here the styles. All right. At Excel Academy, our convention is typically to use one of these styles over here. Why? Because it's a bit more subtle. It's not blue in your face. It's gray banded rows. You'll see here there's a tick box for the banded rows. All right, we can turn that on and off. You'll see it makes it easier to read. We can do the same thing with the columns. We can apply specific formatting to the last column and the first column if we really want to. And you'll see here that there's tick boxes for the header row and for the total row. And you'll notice that with the total row, it actually gives us opportunity to put in a total row at the bottom of the data using Control-Shift-T. All right, if we click that tick box, okay, if we untick it, it goes away. If we tick it, there we go. There's that total row. For anyone who missed this whole step about converting our data into a table, all we had to do was make sure our cursor was somewhere in the data and then press Control-T on our keyboard. All right, on a Mac, it might be Command-T, so just double check that. And then we click OK, and it converts our data into a table. All right, guys. Now, what this total row does is really amazing because it gives us the ability to do quick, easy, simple calculations on our data without even having to program formulas. So what do I mean? If you have a look here in our final column, it's tried to do a calculation here. It can't add up a bunch of words. So instead, if we click the drop down, you'll see that it's applied a count calculation there. And if we go to the progress column, by the way, how come the progress heading is showing here? If we click outside of our table, it says A, B, C, D. Those are the column headings. As soon as we're inside our table, what it's done is it's replaced the A, B, C, D with the actual names of the columns. And that's just another feature of working in table mode. Okay, it's intuitive. It's automatically frozen that top row for us because it knows that we want to know what those headings are. And we can even use the sort and filter buttons from down here at the bottom of our data. And when it comes to a total row, what you'll notice over here is that we've got this drop down and we can perform a quick calculation on our data. All right, so what is the average progress across all these people doing our training? If we click average, you'll see that it's 0.879. All of these figures over here, you're probably thinking to yourself, these should be displayed as percentage, and we will get to that because formatting our numbers is really, really important so that our numbers tell the right story. And we're going to get to that in a few moments, but I just want to show you that we can use this total row to our advantage. All right, and we can also use a keyboard shortcut to activate the drop-down list. Any drop-down list that we've got in Excel, whether it's the sort and filter buttons or a drop-down data validation list or a list in our total row over here, what we can do is we can use Alt and the down arrow to activate this list, and then we can navigate around this list using up and down. Okay, so if we want to know what's the average number of times that a person signs into our platform, we just select average over there and it gives us that calculation 11.76. Now, one of the benefits of working with this total row, and you'll see that the formulas in the total row in these calculations, you can see it's actually using the subtotal function. And I don't want you to get too stressed and worry about why and how this function works, but I will tell you that the brilliance of this function is such that if we filter the data, then the calculation adjusts according to what's been filtered. What do I mean? Let's show you that. Take note of what the figures are. It's 0.879 and it's 11.76. And if we filter the data to show, all right, we click on the sort and filter button, we untick where it says select all, and we want to show only the Excel 101 people. We tick Excel 101, we click OK, and there you can see that the figures have adjusted accordingly. And that's because we're in the total row with the subtotal function. If it had been an equals average, all right, which you might have seen before, that will calculate based on everything, not based on what's filtered. So again, this is much more intuitive, and it's showing that there are 8,104 people who are busy with 101. And this is a visual cue that the data has been filtered. We've got these blue numbers down the left-hand side, and we've got the little filter or funnel icon there in this button. Okay, we can go back to this sort and filter button, and we can actually clear the filter from the course. All right, and we're back to our original figures over here. All right, guys, so now we want to jump back up to the top of the data. We use Control and Up to teleport up to the top. We want to save our work because we've done some really useful stuff on this data, and we want to look at some keyboard shortcuts to enable us to format our numbers. All right, so we are in the progress column, and we mentioned that these should be displayed as percentages. And something that we notice here, you've probably seen this before, the percentage symbol is up on the home tab of the ribbon. All right, it's over there, and you'll notice that there's a keyboard shortcut associated with it. This is called the screen tip, and this is Excel's way of helping you to explain what a button actually does. So this says Control Shift and percent, which is exactly what we're going to press. Control Shift percent, and you can see Sakina, instead of 0.94, it's displaying it as 94%. All right, so it's formatted that particular cell as a percentage. All right, you'll see Avi has put the shortcut there, Control Shift and 5. Why? Because on your keyboard, the number 5 is the same key as percent. So we need to press Control Shift and percent to format it as percent. But the issue here is that it's only done it to one cell. All right, so we need to select all the data in this particular column and then apply that shortcut in order for us to format this whole column. So we always need to remember that, select thy data. Okay, it's actually, there's that Excel for Dummies book, and there's the 10 commandments of Excel at the back, and commandment number 6 says select thy data. Right, so we're going to select thy data, and we're going to use a really handy keyboard shortcut here, which Avi has put in the chat, and it's Control and Spacebar. Let's have a look at our cheat sheet. On the first page, there it is, Control and Spacebar to select the entire column. And what it does is it selects all the data in this column. Okay, what do I mean all the data? Let's just navigate to the bottom quickly just to show you something. Control and Spacebar, okay, it selects all the data in this column. I'm not sure why it's actually not showing over. There we go. There we go. It's showing it. Okay, it's selected all the data. It actually hasn't included the total row, and it hasn't gone down to 1,000,000. If we were outside our table and we press Control Spacebar, it selects all the way down to 1,000,000. All right, maybe to do this, what you've done in the past is to select with the mouse by clicking over there, and you can do that. But what we're going to do is we're going to be keyboard people. So I'm going to press Control Spacebar. I'm going to press it a second time. And what it does, okay, mine's misbehaving a little bit. I'm going to go up to the top. I'm going to press Control Spacebar, press it a second time, and then press Control Shift and 5. And you'll see that it's formatted the entire column and including the total row. Right, let's go back up to the top and let's learn another shortcut for formatting as dates. The last activity column, once again, we're going to press Control and Spacebar. And this time, we're either going to go up to the drop down here and format them as short dates. We can definitely do that. Or we can press Control Z and we can format them as dates using a keyboard shortcut, which is Control Shift and 3 or Control Shift hash. Control Shift hash formats them as dates. You can see here it's got a slightly different date format where it shows you the first 3 or 4 letters of the actual month. Okay, and we can practice this. Remember, we've got to repeat, we've got to implement, we've got to repeat what we've done in order to start making it habit and second nature to us. So we're going to press Control Spacebar and then Control Shift 3 for member since. Okay. I'll show you in a moment that all these number formatting shortcuts are actually on your cheat sheet as well, which is useful. SAST is a time value. All right, so it's a decimal between 0 and 1, and it indicates the portion of a day. All right. So midday, in other words, 12 o'clock noon would be exactly zero point 0.5 halfway through the day. And 6 p.m. would be 0.75. So you've got all these different decimals over here, and we can format them as time using Control Shift 2. All right. Okay. So there's a whole lot of number formatting shortcuts, which, as I said, are on your cheat sheet. If we look at the bottom of the cheat sheet here, Control Shift, and we've got 2 for time, 3 for date, we've got 5 for percentage, and we've got 4 for currency, 1 for number, and squiggle for general. So let's have a look there. If we go Control Shift Squiggle, all right, that's next to the number 1. And guys, these numbers are all, we're referring to these numbers on the top of our keyboard. We're not referring to the number pad on the far right-hand side of our keyboard. So Control Shift Squiggle, Control Shift 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And we're going to go back to Control Shift 2. We're going to save our work. Remember, guys, this is being recorded. If we are going a little bit too fast for you, take the time, invest the time to revise and recap when you receive that recording link from us. All right, guys, so Control S, I might have just pressed that a few seconds ago, but there's no harm in saving our work too much. You can't save too frequently. All right, guys, last but not least, when it comes to number formatting for today, we are going to format this mobile number column because it can be quite frustrating when our zeros drop off. Our zeros drop away because Excel believes that the zeros are insignificant, because if you type in 100 into Excel, it will drop away the 0 because you wouldn't need that 0. So it thinks it's insignificant. We have to tell Excel that that 0 is significant. So what we do is we select the entire column once again with Control Spacebar, and we're going to go to our Format Cells dialog box, Format Cells window, and we get there. You probably know that you can right click and say Format Cells. All right, and we could also use Control 1 on our keyboard, which is a very useful shortcut to take us straight there. And what we're going to do is we need to create a custom number format. There's a whole lot of categories in this list. We're going to go custom, and instead of general, you'll see, by the way, in this list over here, there's a whole lot of different options, weird and wonderful looking code, lots of hashtags and zeros and square brackets. For now, what we want is we want to put in 10 zeros. All right, I'm going to put 3, then another 3, and then another 4. All right, because these mobile numbers need to have 10 digits. And if they only have 9 digits, then the first digit must be a 0. So this is a way of letting Excel know that there must be 10 digits always. And if there are any digits missing, there must be zeros. In addition, we can put a dash after the first 3. All right, like in South Africa, we've got 082, and then the next 3 digits, and then the last 4. So we put in dashes there, and there's a sample showing us how that's going to look. We click OK, and happy days. I'm going to press Control S, and there we go. Okay, guys, we have a few minutes left, and what we want to do now is actually, I want to show you how we can work with this data to just get what we need when it comes to this data. So what we've been doing for now is actually cleaning up the data and getting it to tell the right story. And we've cleaned up the data by converting it into a table, by formatting our numbers nice and neatly. And the next thing I want to do is just to actually auto fit these column widths, because the organization column you can see is spilling over and some of these names are getting cut off. So what I can do is either use my mouse to select everything in the spreadsheet by clicking on that little triangle and then double clicking between A and B or B and C, and you can see that it's widened the columns, it's auto fitted the columns. All right, I'm going to press Control Z because what I want to show you is I did hint at that magic key, and I see that about close to 99% of you are still online. You've stuck it out, you're enjoying yourself, and you're going to enjoy this shortcut that I'm going to show you on the keyboard, this magic key. I want to first select all the data using Control A. Maybe you've seen that before. Control A selects all the data. I'm going to press it again to include the headers. All right, and what you'll notice, maybe you've seen this here on my quick access, is that I've got this button which says auto fit column width. How did I get it there? You probably don't have it there. You can get it there by going to your home tab and clicking on the format button look at the format button over here. All right. Just a heads up that unfortunately this is not going to work if you're working on a Mac. All right. So this is only on Windows, on Excel on Windows. All right. If I go to my format button, you'll see that the fourth option says auto fit column width. So what you can do is you can right click on that and say add to quick access toolbar, and it's going to add that button to your quick access toolbar. Once you've got it there, what you can then do, once you've selected all the data, is you can press the magic Alt key. The magic Alt key on your keyboard, just press it once. Okay, look, mom, no hands. You don't have to hold it down. Just press it once, and you'll notice that you get a whole lot of letters, all right, and numbers. So you've got letters which correspond to each tab. So you've got H for home, F for file, N for insert, and that lets you navigate to different tabs. We're not going to go there for now. We're running out of time. What I do want to show you is that you've got a number attached to each button on your quick access toolbar. So for me, I've got auto fit column width as my first button. So I've got the number 1. Yours might be the fourth one, in which case it would be the number 4. If yours is 4, then press 4 now. If yours is 1, then press 1 now. And you'll notice what happens. We just pressed Alt once and then that number, and it activates that particular button. If you like that, give us a heart. Give us a heart from your Zoom reactions. I'm going to zoom out a little bit in the meantime, just so that I can see everything on my screen. I'm going to save my work with Control S. And I think we've got a few minutes left to show you one or two other things. What I actually want to show you is I'm going to move this, which is these are Excel Pal WhatsApp groups. And this is where we actually track and support our students as they're working through our courses. So what you'll notice over here, here's a group of 5 delegates, and you can see there's their progress on Excel 101 and on 202. So we've got some green figures showing them that they've finished that particular course, and yellow, orange, and red showing that they're still in progress over there. And you can see, for example, almost everyone's finished 101. So how do we get this data? You can see this is data from Excel. How do we get this into these WhatsApp groups? Well, we're going to show you some of the tricks that we use. We won't have time for everything here, but what I do want to show you is that we can first and foremost filter the data. For example, if we want to deal with Safeco, let's say we want to send an update to Safeco, I'm going to go to the sort and filter menu over here. I'm going to type into the box Safeco. I'll start typing it in, and there we go. There's Safeco. I click OK, and now I can see this is the list of delegates at Safeco. There's 19 of them. The average number of sign-ins is 35. Okay, it's interesting that Kira Billware, all right, remember this is fictitious data, but it would be a bit of an alert that she signed in 446 times. Something strange is going on there. Maybe that's something to look into. And you'll see here that the overall progress for this group is 86%. And it's very useful to display these progress figures in a color graded format. We can do that manually by selecting a bunch of cells that are 100 and painting them in green, but it's definitely going to take us way too long. It's going to be inefficient. What we'd rather do is what? Okay, what feature can I use in Excel that's going to format these figures according to the value of each cell? All right, let me know in the chat. Any ideas? What would you use? How would you do this? You saw it in the WhatsApp group. And there we go. Sydney Swanepoel, thank you very much. You're spot on. It's conditional formatting. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is select all the data using Control Spacebar, and then I'm going to go to conditional formatting on my home tab, and you'll see the fourth option in the list is color scales, and I'm going to choose the very first one, which says green, yellow, red. And isn't that brilliant that it went and it formatted all those numbers according to the value? And if Mohammed Shapiro over here actually hadn't done 100%, if that was an error and we change it to 50%, you'll see how it adjusts the color automatically. Okay, I'm going to undo that. And that's fantastic. It's conditional formatting. It's a brilliant tool, and there's lots more you can do with it, which we cover in depth in Excel 202. All right, but for now, just wanted to show you what is possible with it when it comes to formatting these values. And then we might want to sort this from top to bottom, okay, to put all the people who have done 100% up at the top and just sort it from highest to lowest, so we can activate this drop down either with the mouse like we've been doing, or we can press Alt and the down arrow key. Remember, I showed you that with your total rows. We can press Alt and down, and then we can go sort largest to smallest. I can move around here using up and down and sort largest to smallest. And there we go. We've got the progress column sorted from top to bottom. It looks beautiful, green, yellow, red. And then what we can do is select all of this using the mouse or shift and the arrows and control shift down. And maybe we want to extend it one more column to the right or another couple of columns to the right. We can just extend by using shift and the arrow key to the right. And then we want to copy this. So we press Control C. We go into Word or PowerPoint or WhatsApp or wherever else we want to go, or an email, and we paste it there. And then we'll have different options for when we paste. All right, but let's leave it there for now. All right, it is 10:55. I know there was a request in the chat to go through pivot tables. We have run out of time. All right, and unfortunately, because time flies when you're having fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to Control S. We're going to save our work. I think we've done great today. And if you do want to learn about pivot tables, it's probably a good idea to invest in actually doing our courses. As I mentioned, Excel 202 is a deep dive into a whole lot of these data analysis techniques. Excel 101 is a great place for most people to start because it covers the fundamentals. If you do want to chat to us and find out more about how our courses work for yourself or for your whole team, then please do get in touch. And yeah,